streets are talking. You are now listening to The Box Out, Tri-State area basketball talk at its best. And now your hosts, Kahlil Thomas and Jason Cordner. Let's get it.
Box Out here on the One Podcast Network YouTube channel. Some excuses were a little late to begin tonight. Hopefully you're all having a good weekend and a good Sunday. We come to you when it was not a bad night for the Knicks on Thursday. It was a night that we needed to have. It's a night that I'm proud to bring in Jason Cordner into because tonight's a celebration of everything New York Knicks. We made it. We in there. How you doing, Jay?
I'm good. I'm happy to be here. Happy to be here non-sourly because the Knicks handled their business. And I think, you know what? If they would have had to play game one today or possibly yesterday, I think they would have came out flat. So I think having extra days off going into Monday night will serve them well.
Yeah, so the Knicks took game 6 in Philly, a game that, we had a little our pregame show on Thursday, and we both said they had to win game.
Mm-hmm. Can't hear you.
There we go. You hear me now?
Yep.
All right. See this mic. I can't stand it sometimes. What I was saying, what were your thoughts after the first half, after seeing how well they played in the first quarter, and then seeing how badly they played the second quarter to be down at halftime?
I was shocked that they fell behind so quickly, but I had a feeling soon those guys are not going to keep it up for quarters. That I knew. So I thought they weathered the storm, and I'd rather them blow that lead early than to have blown it late in the fourth. Then it would have been pressure situation where it probably would have been problematic and harder for them to come back. So I think adversity in the first half was probably best for them for the long haul of the game.
Yeah, I think that was the key. I think Buddy Hield, who really didn't play all series, came out, and you know what he brings to the table. He hits threes, and that's all he can do. Defensively, he's not great. He doesn't drive to the basket. He hits threes, and that's what he does, and that's what he did against the Knicks. The second half, listen, it was up and down. I know I texted you at the end. I was like, I can't take many more of these. I'm out.
Yep.
They pulled it out. Brunson had some big shots. Hart hit a wide open three that at first, when he was wide open, I almost didn't want him to take it. I was scared. And then when he shot it, I was like, and then he made it, I was like, So they won the game, but you're still like, all right, should it have been that difficult? That was my question.
No, I mean, it was going to be that difficult regardless because Philly was playing for their playoff lives. And I was more shocked that Tobias Harris had a donut night. Maxey was pretty off. They pretty much, not saying they figured him out defensively, but they made things difficult for him, which was a plus. And Embiid, his fourth quarter struggles continue. I didn't think it was going to be that close, but I knew it was going to be, scrappy towards the end. And all series, the Knicks have been the more scrappier team in the fourth quarter. So it's good to see that stood still, and that's going to serve them great against Indiana going forward.
Bruce, as always, thanks for watching us. Thanks for coming on. We're shocked we're here. I said Sunday. God damn it, we're here. Going into this next series with Indiana, and it was a series that we wanted. I think because Milwaukee, even without Giannis and Giannis practiced before they lost to Indy, and a 60% Giannis is still a real scary idea. But what problems do you foresee when they play the Pacers, a younger team, and a lot faster team than the Knicks are.
They got to control. They got to control the pace. No pun intended. And I think more of the offensive rebounds. They will probably get a lot more of those than they did in the Philadelphia series. And I think now Tibbs has got to open up the bench. I think we might need to go 8 or 9 deep just to compete with the young legs of Indiana, because you know they're going to throw bodies at Brunson. Hart, you can't have Hart and these guys playing 48 minutes against that team that are a bunch of thoroughbreds. So I think you have to. I think we're going to have to see an Alex Burke sign. I think Precious is going to have to get some crucial minutes here, because the one thing Indiana's not going to do is bang them in the boards. But if they get a rebound, they're off and running. So I think that's something the Knicks have to control the pace and really dominate on the offensive and defensive glass, and they'll be fine. But Indiana has the best offense in the league. They make shots. It could be a different series. So I think you got to really. I think the pace of how the Knicks play will dictate everything.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think the Knicks have to slow the game down. The Knicks cannot compete up and down the court with Indiana. It's a no-win situation if they do that. I feel like you slow the game down, you force Indy to go into a lot of half-court sets and force them to try to figure out how to get baskets and not run about on court. Bruce said in the chat, OG knows Siakam's game. They were teammates.
Exactly.
They practiced together. So you kind of have OG as like the spy who's like, I know his game, put me on him. And you might see that. The fact that the Pacers play no defense is a good thing, right? The Knicks struggle with getting baskets sometimes. Maybe against a team that plays almost no defense, you might create some offense of your own. So I think the big issue is going to be slowing the game down, and you have to hit shots. There was instances in that Sixers series where the Knicks can hit a shot for 3, 4, 5 minutes at a time, which let Philly come back in Game 6, which lets Philly come back in Game 5. So it's not so much about them slowing the game down. The Knicks, they have to slow the game down, and then offensively, they got to make some baskets and not settle for threes. And the NBA is a 3-point league now. Obviously, we know this,
right.
But there was a point. I think OG had a wide open three. He said, "Forget that." Took it inside and dunked. Got a foul in Game 6.
Mm-hmm.
You need more of that. I want more of 90%, that. Like,
90% of the league. 90% of the league would have took that three.
Yeah. And OG's like, I got a lane. I'm going to take it. And that's what you have to do. Mm-hmm. You take the higher percentage shot. Now, even if you didn't make that dunk to get the 3-point play, still got fouled. So that's 2 points right there, or 1, because the Knicks couldn't hit foul shots the last 2 games of the series. So, where do you see this going? Like, who wins the series? I'm just going to flat out ask you, who wins Knicks Pacers series?
I think Knicks win in 6. I don't think it's going to be. I think it's going to be a competitive series. I think it's crucial for the Knicks to get Game 1, because I think if Indiana gets Game 1, they're going to be a lot more friskier going forward. But if I'm Tibbs, not only am I looking at film of how badly we executed in Game 5 against Philadelphia, I'm looking at tape of the Cleveland series, because I feel like this matchup is very reminiscent of the Cavs series last year, except I think the Cavs bigs were a little bit more forced. They were forced more in the paint, whereas the Pacers bigs, they're gonna look to shoot. Turner's gonna look to shoot. Siakam's gonna look to shoot. So I think you really bang them in the paint. So I think if I'm Tibbs, I'm definitely rolling back up some of that Cleveland footage and looking at some of those Milwaukee. The 2 games Milwaukee had success, I'm running that footage as well.
Yeah, Bruce said in the chat, Turner shoots a lot of threes, and that's true. Turner will step out and shoot, and you almost get an Embiid feel. Embiid shot a lot of threes, especially in Game 6.
Yeah.
And you're pulling Mitchell Robinson out. You're pulling Isaiah Hartenstein out, which is not a bad thing, because, the floor is a little more open, and, you might be able to shut guys down. But you got to be aware. Miles Turner can hit. He shoots a lot of threes. He also hits a lot of threes. So
but this is where Precious comes in handy. This is why you got to open up that rotation.
Yeah, Precious is an undersized center. He's 6'8", 6'9". And Miles Turner, if he goes down low with Precious showed against Embiid, he can bang down low. If he wants to step out, Precious can step out with you too. The one hole I think in the whole Knicks defensive team is Mitchell. He's not good at stepping out and take down centers who's perimeter oriented. And Hartenstein is better than Mitchell Robinson, but not that much good. Not that much better. So Precious could be that kind of link to go, you know what? You're going to go in there and Turner's going to step out, we'll put pressures in there and have them step out with him and see what happens. Bruce is saying Pacers in 6. Pressures defense is questionable. Do you live in New York? I'm assuming Bruce don't live in New York or New Jersey or Connecticut. I'm assuming he's from down south somewhere. I agree. I think Knicks in 6. I said Knicks in 7 the other night once the game was over. And once I started kind of reading up on it and looking over things, I'm like, all right, I think Knicks can knock this out in 6. Bruce said in chat as well, DiVincenzo, Hart, they're streaky. You know what you're getting.
Mm-hmm.
The fact that OG played as well as he did in Game 6, that gives me confidence that, you know what, even if DiVincenzo isn't having a great shooting night or Hart's not having a great shooting night and still scoring 15 points, grabbing 14 rebounds, whatever, I think the way OG played in Game 6 against Philly is going to give him confidence going forward where, you know, he could be like, hey, Jalen, I got you. Like, if you see me, feed me the ball. And I like the fact he's aggressive. He's just not settling. And I think that's going to be the key in the series. OG can hit a 3 when he needs to hit a 3, but he's also like, I'm going to go inside and drive and dunk if I want to. I think that's really, really big for him going forward.
Speaking of dunk, I think what's the name's going to have a big series. Our old guy, Obi. I think he's going to be a big series.
Yeah. Well, I mean, this is the proving series. Just to show, like, you guys let me go. You obviously picked Julius Randle over me, which all NBA Julius Randle over Obi Toppin is not a terrible situation. But I think Obi's going to play his ass off, and I think that's the one to really look for because he has something to play for. He has a bone to pick with the Knicks.
Especially Tibbs.
Yeah. I mean, Obi's defense wasn't good, and if you don't play defense for a Tibbs team, you're not going to play. I feel like that's common knowledge. That's everyone knows that. If you can be great offensively, but if you don't play even the tiniest bit of defense, Julius Randle's not great on defense, but when he locks down, he locks down. If you don't play defense, Tibbs does not care about you. And I think Obi found out the hard way that Tibbs don't give a shit about you if you don't play any defense. And he's on a team right now that plays no defense. so it works perfectly for him. Today we had a Game 7. Cleveland-Orlando. Cleveland beats Orlando by 12 to advance to the second round to face Boston. This is a series that no one cared about. It went 7 games. I know. Game 7s are awesome. Hockey, basketball, baseball, whatever. But even with this being a Game 7 today, did you really care about the series? Because I feel like everybody talked about Boston. Everyone was raving about Knicks Sixers and how, you know, it just felt like that playoff intensity was there. But it seemed like Milwaukee, Indiana had some buzz because you had Doc and you had Dame and you had Giannis. Not so much about Indiana, but it was more about Milwaukee. Did anyone care about Cleveland, Orlando? I feel like that was never talked about.
Listen, it was delegated towards the NBA TV series. Ironically, Game 7 was on ABC because there was no other game to be played today. So they got the spotlight to themselves today. Kudos to both teams. I thought it was a competitive series. Crazy how home courts served in every game of that series. But I think it's good for the Cavs. Their first playoff win since '93 without LeBron. That's a long time coming. I think if you was to ask me which of these two teams would give Boston a little competition, I'm going to go with the Cavs. I think Boston will take that series in 5 again. But it was good for Cleveland. It was good for Donovan Mitchell to look good. Garland looked good. And they kind of won it. They won it without Allen, which I was surprised too. You know, he didn't play the last, I think, 3 games of the series. But kudos to the Cavs. Orlando's coming. I think they're going to get a wing in offseason. They're going to be formidable coming down the line. But it's all about the Cavs. I think Cavs and Boston could be competitive, but I still think Boston will win at 5.
Yeah, Bruce said that Orlando choked the second quarter, shooting so many threes. I think Orlando's the opposite of OKC. Right? OKC's a young team that we're kind of building to this moment in the playoffs, and they've kind of said they've met the moment, right? They swept New Orleans, right? They're ready. I feel like Orlando this year, they weren't expected to be this good. They weren't expected to be a 5 seed. They were expected
they were maybe play in.
Exactly. Maybe play in. So I feel like the fact that they're a 5 seed was a huge accomplishment for them, but they were like, we got there, we're 5. All right, we're good. I think next year, like you said, add a wing. They have the pieces, like Paolo Banchero, Franz Wagner. Like, they have really good players. I thought Cole Anthony would be a little bit better at this point of his career, but I was completely wrong.
Same.
Not UNC. But I definitely see them getting better and kind of going further. OKC was ready for the moment. I think Orlando was just happy to be here. And I think even though they went to 7, you saw moments where they're like, well, we have really nothing to lose because we shouldn't be here anyway. That's kind of the feeling I got from Orlando a lot.
I actually think playing a Game 7 was probably the best outcome for their season. Like, hey, we wasn't supposed to be this high of a seed. Because think about like how the Knicks they lost to 5 against the Hawks a couple of years ago.
Yeah.
So I think they're like the same trajectory. They got their first playoff experience in a while. They lost in 7 to a team that had a bad outing last year in the playoffs. So it's progression. It's all about progression.
Mm-hmm. So now Celtics Cavs, that's your next round. Porzingis, his status is up in the air. We don't know what he's going to look like. I know Tatum, his ankle's a little gimpy after he shot a 3 after a whistle, and that was stupid what he did. Celtics in 5. Are we on the same wavelength?
I think we're in the same wavelength.
Nice. Celtics in 5.
I think Holiday locks down Mitchell.
Yeah, I think so. So, and if Mitchell's not having a good game, I feel like the whole thing collapses. And then if it's Cavs out in 5, we're going to see Mitchell out in 5 as well, because he's going to be like, yeah, I'm going to get the hell out of here. In the West, 106-99, T-Wolves take game 1 against Denver. And look, it was a good game. I was surprised at the outcome. It seemed like Minnesota just had a lot more in the tank in the end. Anthony Edwards is playing his ass off. The question now becomes, can Minnesota beat Denver? I think that's the question now. They beat them in game 1. Can Minnesota take this series?
I think they can extend the series. I don't know if they could beat them 4 times. They got 1 early. Denver is they like to play with their food kind of team. They were toying with the Lakers 4 out of the 5 games, and I think they went into this game thinking they could, turn it on late in the 4th quarter, all that they did against the Lakers. So I think game 2, it would not surprise me if Denver blows them out by like 15-20. Would not surprise me. If it's a close game and Denver somehow managed to win, then that's kind of like a win for Minnesota, where they're going to be frisky down the line. But I think this is a long series. I think this is going either 6 or 7 for sure.
And you look at the numbers. Anthony Edwards had 43 points. Karl-Anthony Towns had 20. After that, it's kind of quiet. It was 16 for Naz Reid. It was 14 for Conley. And that was really it. I think the Nuggets shot really badly. I think that stretch they didn't have really good shots, really good possessions at all. Like, shot selection was awful. And like you said, I feel like they played down to teams a lot. So Bruce said Murray has a calf strain. Yeah, okay. I don't think Murray having a calf strain is the end all be all. Like, he'll play through it. And Murray, I think it was what game did I watch? It was the last series against the Lakers, obviously. I think it might have been game 4. Where I think Grant Hill doing color? Someone doing color on TNT mentioned how Murray obviously isn't as explosive as he used to be before the ACL injury. And now he's becoming more spot up. He runs up. He kind of runs at his own speed, not too fast, not too slow, and just spots up, hits threes. Even him not being the Murray of old, I think, is still better. A calf strain for him, okay, cool. I'm just going to not run as fast, get open, and just shoot some threes.
Right.
I don't really see that being an issue. And you don't have to play Murray a whole bunch of minutes either. You give Murray 25 minutes, he'll probably be okay. So,
for sure.
I think him being hurt is not the end-all, be-all right now, especially if it's just a strain. Do you agree?
No, I totally agree. I think he'll be fine. And, again, I think it's going to be a long series. They're going to have to find a better defensive scheme against Edwards. I don't want Murray on him too long.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, Bruce mentioned their bench, and, the reason Denver really won last week.
This is where they missed Bruce. This is where they missed Bruce Brown.
And listen, people sleep on Bruce Brown like he doesn't really do anything, and he's kind of like, oh, you could play him anywhere, but he doesn't have a set position. That's kind of what you want. You want a player who can look at Josh Hart. Josh Hart was playing the 4, and he's 6'4". So you want versatility, and Bruce Brown gives you that. They really don't have that. Justin Holiday, Reggie Jackson, Christian Braun is who they really played off the bench. Christian Braun had a okay role last year. Reggie Jackson, you're going to get what you get from Reggie Jackson. He's going to either give you 20 off the bench or give you 2. Justin Holiday he's just this ancillary player who's there. So I think the bench is the problem. They're going to run into the Tibbs issue where you got to play Jokic and you got to play Aaron Gordon a lot of minutes to make up for your lack of bench. I think that's the problem we run into. Maybe not in this series, but I think in the Western Conference Finals if they advance and in the NBA Finals.
Yep, for sure. Definitely for sure.
The other West series is bring it up. I can't remember off the top of my head because I'm exhausted from the week. I'm trying to bring it up. Thunder Mavs. I don't know how I feel about this series. I'm kind of like it could go either way.
It can definitely go
Dallas
either way.
Mm-hmm.
Dallas look good. This could be a Luka and Kyrie showcase. I feel like we talked about the Magic earlier. I think this is where Oklahoma reaches that wall. We play with the big dogs. Next year we'll be ready, more suited to advance to the conference final. I think Dallas might win this series in 7.
Mavs in 6. OKC have no shot. Damn. I mean,
I just trust. I trust Luka and Kyrie in this spot.
Bruce said in the chat they have no one to guard Kyrie. Is that true?
I don't think anyone can guard Kyrie in the league.
That was my question. Can anyone guard Kyrie? I think that's the problem.
No,
I think Kyrie becomes his X factor because Luka's going to do what Luka does. Right? Luka's going to give you 30 points, 14 assists, 12 rebounds, whatever. Kyrie is going to be the factor where is he on or is he off?
Exactly.
Is he into it? Is he not into it? If he's playing like he played against the Clippers in the elimination game, scoring 33, that's the Kyrie you want. You have to keep him engaged and make sure he doesn't do anything stupid. Make sure, because once his shot's not going down, you kind of see them shoulder slump a little bit, and you kind of see that confidence drop a little bit. Kyrie's got to hit early jumpers, early shots, get to the basket quick, and get it done early to kind of keep his confidence up. I think that's going to be the key.
Going, yep.
If you could frustrate Kyrie Irving, you take him out the game, and then becomes, okay, Luka and everybody else, that's not a great selection against OKC. Nope. OKC's a team. They play. It's a team game, right? SGA is their team, but they have so many other pieces. Just take out Kyrie, and you might be able to pull out a couple wins.
Yeah, it's gonna be definitely a good series. But like I said, I trust Kyrie and Luka in this spot.
So Tuesday night, 9:30 is game 1 in that series. Tomorrow night at 10 p.m. is game 2 of Timberwolves Nuggets. Obviously, game 1 of Pacers Knicks tomorrow night at 7:30. And then Tuesday, the early game is going to be Celtics Cavaliers in the Eastern Conference and Western Conference semifinals in the NBA. I want to talk Lakers because I kind of knew this was going to happen. Darvin Ham, scapegoated,
happened so quick. So quickly,
fired
too.
Here's my issue with the firing, because when we talked about the Lakers on Thursday, in my head I didn't want to bring up him getting fired, because in my head I'm like, they can't fire him after 2 years. You really didn't give him a lot to work with. They played better than they probably should have played this year. I think Anthony Davis had his best season in a couple seasons. LeBron had a really good season, obviously, but the pieces around those two players were just not good. And Ham was scapegoated. Is there a coach that can go in there and win? Because one, expectations I feel like are way too high for what the Lakers are. And two, there's so much uncertainty with LeBron, and if he's going to stay, is he going to go? If he does stay, what has to be done to keep him, i.e. drafting Bronny, him dictating who comes in, who doesn't stay, who goes. Is there a coach, one, who would want that, and two, that can win with that type of unwarranted pressure on him?
Well, we're going to find out if Doc Rivers wants that job. But outside of Doc, I don't think anyone really – I don't think that's an attractive job. Like, if you was asking me what's a more attractive job between the Bucks or the Lakers, I might say the Bucks. And put it this way, Frank Vogel and the Suns got swept out of the first round. he hasn't gotten fired. And I think management I think the ownership might have realized, like, hey, it's not the coach, it's the lack of talent outside the big three that we have here. And I think for the Lakers, it's one of those things where, like, the GM he's just coasting right now. And Ham got fired considering he won the inaugural in-season tournament. Like, I mean, like, the Lakers won they finished like 8 games over 500. They won a game against Denver.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think coaching was the problem for the Lakers. I think it was the personnel they had. Same thing with the Suns.
We greatly appreciate Darvin Ham's efforts on behalf of the Lakers to recognize the many accomplishments achieved over past seasons, including last year's remarkable run to the Western Conference Finals. Lakers Vice President of Basketball Operations Jim Robinson said in a statement, "We all want to thank Darvin for his dedication and positivity. While this was a difficult decision to make, it is the best course of action following full review of the season, which took 2 days. The organization will remain unwavering in its commitment to deliver championship-caliber basketball to Lakers fans around the world." My first thought, the Clippers are leaving crypto, Staples, whatever you want to call it, moving to their own spot. You know Ballmer's going to put some money in.
Mm-hmm.
He got by. Paul Bear might be there. And even if Paul George leaves, he might be like, I'm sorry, I want to spend some money and bring somebody else in because we have a new arena. So we're going to be the darlings of LA for a while because we're going to Inglewood, brand new spanking arena, and we're going to have a good team. We're going to compete. Was this a moment where the Lakers said, okay, the Clippers are going to do their own thing. We know they're going to be fighting for the soul of LA basketball-wise. We need to get an established coach, and they're not going to get like a first-year coach like the Nets always do and get, Jordy. Mm-hmm. We're going to get an established coach with a name, get some superstars, a Jace, try to build a team around LeBron and AD, and compete. Was this a panic move with the Clippers leaving and doing their own shit now?
I think so. It's definitely a headline attention move, but it's not an attractive job, and that's the problem. But definitely was a panic move. I think what makes this situation even worse is like they only have that one draft pick. What are you going to do with D'Lo? What are you going to do with Reeves? What are you going to do with the players that you currently have on the contract? Is LeBron even enticed to leave? Like that's a conversation they're going to have. I just think the Lakers, like I said last week, I think they should blow this whole thing up and recoup some assets back. But in that case, who's really going to get the coach here? I'm hearing our favorite former Nets coach Atkins is a potential replacement, but at that point, would that even help the situation? Probably not. So it's I think we're back to the dog days of like when Kobe was the one-man show in LA and before his retirement. I think we're about to head towards that for the Lakers. I don't see them competing against the top of the Western Conference anyway, so I don't know what coach would come in there. And I don't think what's funny about the Clippers? They're opening a new arena. It's equivalent to like if the Nets opened an arena around Penn Station. Because all the Lakers' past success outside of Shaq and Kobe happened in the Forum, which is blocks away from where the Clippers are going to play now.
Yeah, the Clippers are cursed. I completely agree with you. But they're opening a new arena, brand new branding. They're almost starting all over again. They're almost saying we're going to kind of try to scrap the past bullshit of the Clippers and start fresh. They haven't had a reset. I don't think really ever. From I think probably when they moved from San Diego to LA, that was like their last major reset. So even if they lose, even if they don't make the playoffs next year, let's say, the buzz is still on the Clippers side because they got a new building. I'm curious as hell to see that goddamn wall because the way it looks, it looks fucking crazy. Like all the momentum's going the Clippers' way, and the interest, and like I said, the headlines are going that way because Ballmer's like, I want to make them the team in LA, and the Lakers sitting there like, well, we've always been the team in LA. What do we do now? The problem is LeBron and I think AD both have options. D'Lo has a player option. So I think that's going to be the problem because we saw with the Bulls. Lonzo Ball picked up that option because he ain't stupid.
He's stupid.
Russell's going to pick up this player option for 18-7 and go, I'm coming back. I'm going to pick up this option. Then you got to move him. What do you get back? You saw how he played in the playoffs. I think he was on his cell phone during the game or something. I think that was him. So now you're like, okay, we got damaged goods. What can we get for a damaged player? You still have Russell under contract when he picks up the option. Hachimura's there, Reeves there, Gabe Vincent, and Vanderbilt also under contract for next year. You could have let Reeves go and keep that money, but you wanted to sign him.
You want to sign him.
You signed Gabe Vincent for I think it was a 2-year, 2+1 deal. He's going to be there next year. Vanderbilt, I think it's 2+1 as well. You accumulated these assets, like we said last week, does not work with what LeBron does. It doesn't work. So you're trying to put these pieces together with a player who runs your team in a way that's not going to work. And now you're stuck with these pieces. And if you trade him, what do you get? A second-round pick for him? You'll get another role player?
If you're lucky.
Exactly. So I feel like Pelinka just threw shit against the wall and said, okay, let's see what happens. Let's see what sticks. Let's see what works. And nothing worked. And now they're in this hole where LeBron's like, you got to draft Bronny if you can keep me. And they're like, okay, we'll draft Bronny. And now, if I was Kenny Atkinson, and you know how much I love Kenny Atkinson, and I know you do too. He was ran out of Brooklyn. I would stay far away from this job. There is no reason to go into this dead end job to get fired in a year and a half, because that's what's going to happen. You are going to get blatted in LA. It's going to be David Blatt all over again in Cleveland. Same exact shit. It's disingenuous to say championship caliber play because you're not a championship caliber team. So stop bullshitting your fans like you're close, because you're not close. We've seen it for 2 years in a row. At best, you're a play-in team. So take that banner from the end season and enjoy that shit, because you're not winning another banner unless until the next end season tournament, and that's probably it. You're winning championships for a minute, and they just need to come to terms with that.
I just feel like you shouldn't fire the coach that won you in the inaugural end season tournament. I'm just saying.
Exactly.
I hope he got a pay bump.
That wasn't in their statement. That wasn't in their statement about the end season. They should have mentioned that shit. They didn't take that into account. So Adam Silver. Obviously, the end season tournament means nothing to the Lakers and that bullshit banner they put up. Just saying. Was Liberty Media Day was yesterday?
It was yesterday. It was pretty good, pretty intense.
How was it?
No, it was good. It was good. A lot of questions, towards Caitlin, and pretty much not. You know what's funny? A lot of people had questions about Caitlin and how are they looking forward to that challenge at the home opener. Not too much reflecting about the Aces loss, but everyone seems to like they want to move on from that and show that, hey, yeah, we was a super team last year, but the chemistry that was built from that and the camaraderie will definitely carry us this season. That seemed to be the theme from Media Day. Everybody looks great. Everyone's healthy. Everyone's eager to start the season. But we'll just see. I picked them to go back to the finals. I think last year was a taste, and I think this year they're gonna try to get back to there and close it out.
Yeah, I think there's the open practice was yesterday too, and all that stuff, and now it's really cool that they had that.
They look good.
Not a lot was done with the Liberty this year. And I think that's kind of my issue with them. They really didn't make any moves to really make themselves better. They got a few rotational pieces, and a few pieces that are serviceable if someone gets banged up or if someone needs some minutes off, but they really didn't make that major move. And I think part of it is you have Ionescu, and you have Stewie, and you have Vandersloot, and you have Benijah Laney, and you have Jacquel Jones. So you're kind of stuck in what you got, and you're already kind of spending a lot of money. Like, I feel like they're almost at that cap.
Yep.
But do you think they're like a move short of, I don't say competing, because they're going to be in the top 3, top 4 of the league. But can they beat the Aces? What this team is. I think that's the problem. They have pretty much the same team from last year, this year, and the Aces are still the same team. So, how close are they?
I think they're still close. I think like how it ended last year, where the Aces were big on like, hey, we've been playing together for a couple of years. I think it's all about chemistry, and I think that should serve the Liberty going well towards this season. Whereas last year they all kind of like winged it, and it gelled. It came together. It started off slow, but it gelled. I think the more reps they get together, they'll be fine going forward.
So one thing I forgot last week was, and we didn't talk about it because I think we didn't have the show, and then we got stuck on the Knicks on Thursday.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think we talked about Candace Parker at all.
Her retirement, right?
Yeah. So Candace Parker retired. She was part of the Aces. She got a ring last year, even though she kind of down the stretch didn't play. There's a lot of conversation about WNBA wise, I think women's basketball in totality, college, pro. Where does Candace Parker fall in that hierarchy of, best women's basketball players of all time? And I'm kind of going back and forth about college, pro, and who had the best career, and Parker and Shamika Holtzclaw up there kind of close together, and you have the Cheryl Swoops, and you had Cynthia Cooper and Cheryl Miller, and there's so many names that you could kind of mention in that pantheon of women's basketball. I definitely got to say Candace Parker's in that top 5 conversation. What do you think?
Ooh, you said top 5. I said top 10. I'm trying to think. I'm trying to think of the 5 players I would put ahead of her, or 4 players. Damn, that is tough. I'm thinking about the old Corman.
Exactly. I'm thinking like Cheryl Miller, Swoops. I think Cynthia Cooper's in the conversation. I don't think Cynthia Cooper's top 5.
You know what? College, no. WNBA, yes.
Yeah. Tamika Catchings, Sue Bird. I think she had a better career than Sue Bird. Yeah, okay. I can see that.
If we're combining both college and the WNBA, absolutely.
I'm going to my head real quick. I'm trying to run through.
Taurasi, yes.
Taurazi's top. I think Taurazi's top. I know Bruce is going to shit on this.
No, she's in there. She's in that top 5.
I think Taurazi's top. I think Diana Taurasi's top 3.
Okay.
Bruce said Cheryl Miller didn't play. Yeah, Miller didn't play professionally. Yes, true, but she played professionally overseas. Obviously, the WNBA wasn't a thing with Cheryl Miller when she was out of college, but you almost have to kind of disregard. You have to put her into the conversation too because of how she was a legend in college, and she's penalized because the WNBA wasn't around when she was around. Obviously,
same thing for Cheryl Miller. Obviously, she'd have been about Bill Russell if the WNBA was around back then.
Taurasi, no top 3. I was waiting for Bruce to mention that. But even if you deep dive, Nancy Lieberman. Nancy Lieberman was a beast. There's so many women's players in the history of basketball that you're like, damn, where does she stack up? And I think top 5, just playing for Tennessee. She won a title with the Sparks. She went back home, won it with the Sky. She won a title with the Aces, quote unquote. I think top 5. You said top 10. I think anywhere in that pantheon, especially then you add in the broadcasting stuff, and you add she is like a brand now, right?
She's a brand, yep.
Candace Parker has become a brand, and I think that also brings up her prestige as well too, because growing up, I watched Cheryl Swoops, and Cheryl Swoops was being compared to Jordan, and they did a commercial together.
I think they did a commercial together, yep.
93, 94. So you look at what Cheryl Swoops was when I was growing up, and you see who Candace Parker is now. I'm like, damn, that's she's levels above Cheryl Swoops, and Cheryl Swoops is the one. So I definitely see top 5, then over top 10. But it's hard because there's so many good players.
Definitely.
So we talk about expansion WNBA. The Sparks played Seattle in Canada. 16,655 fans showed up.
Oh, wow.
Is Canada next for expansion? Because I really think, I know they said Golden State or that San Francisco area is going to get a game.
It's getting one.
They wanted Portland. Every time the WNBA goes to Canada, Maya Moore. That's the other one. Bruce was mentioned in chat. Maya Moore. Even though she retired kind of early.
Right.
That penalized her. Lisa Leslie's another one. Every time the WMA goes to Canada, they draw 15,000, 16,000. I think they might be the team to get dibs on the next expansion team because no matter what's up there, we see it with the Professional Women's Hockey League. They almost sold out Montreal's arena. I think Canada should get first dibs. What do you think?
Montreal, Toronto. I wouldn't go Vancouver. I would go Calgary. It has to be Montreal, Toronto for me. But yeah, I would say they get first dibs, unless you're bringing back the Houston Comets.
They got to bring back Houston. That's just too much history in that team.
That's like wiping out the Yankees. And
you don't have to play. You don't have to play them at Toyota. Play them on the campus of University of Houston because that arena is just as nice as Toyota Center. I will put the Houston Cougars arena up against Toyota. It looks like a professional arena. So I would even say, you know what? You don't have to put us at Toyota Center. We're not gonna fill it out. You can put us at University of Houston.
Had no idea that the Summit became Joel Osteen's church.
Yeah,
no idea.
Lakewood is Lakewood Church now.
Yeah,
because
idea.
You watch him preach, and you kind of catch yourself looking around like, do you see any remnants of the Compaq Center? I'm like, no, you'll see nothing. But yeah, that's the church now.
Nope.
So Bruce said Portland had a team that wanted to see him. Yes. I gotta put this up on the screen because this is this is hilarious.
Hey,
we didn't say that. We love Houston.
They could always move the comments to San Antonio. They could put them in San Antonio.
Listen, if you what did Bomani say this week? Bomani Jones, if you're gonna give that ass, just put it out there. So it's all good. So we respect that too on the box out. No, I think he mentioned Portland had a team and no one could see him. Like Cleveland had a team and San Antonio had a team that eventually became the Aces. I feel like we're in a different spot now where women's basketball is at a way different level than it was when the league started, 5 years after the league started, 10 years after the league started. So I think if you're going to do expansion, I feel like you have to do it now. And you have to do it when it's hot, and you have to do it when people care about it. Because if you wait and go, okay, this bubble's going to get bigger and bigger and bigger, that's when the bubble starts to collapse. So you do it while the bubble's big, establish yourself to the point where you're an item that's needed, right? You're looked at as part of the community, part of what the fabric of your city or your town is. Now that people care about it, I think that's the key. I feel like they're waiting for the perfect time to announce this expansion. You got to do it now.
Yeah, definitely do it before the NBA does it, because they're about a year or two away before they announce their expansion, especially with all the new television rights they're about to get.
Yeah, and WNBA is going to be a part of that. The WNBA is going to be that part of that package, which I kind of look at it like when the NCAA women's tournament isn't separated from baseball, softball, because ESPN buys all the tournaments, and the women's tournament is packaged in with, men's water polo.
Right.
Break them apart. See what the WNBA can do by themselves, and
100%.
Obviously not now. I'm going to give it to next year. Because the NWSL, which is the National Women's Soccer League, they kind of did their own thing. And they're starting to kind of make some money now, and you're starting to see it. WNBA has like a 25-year head start on that league. So you might be able to go, hey, Ion Television, ESPN will want you back. Because ESPN, they pretty much put all their chips on women's basketball.
Yep.
Based on what they do for college. So we might get to that point where they might be able to go, okay, listen, we're going to break off from NBA. We don't really package with them. We want to negotiate our own deal and see what we can get for it. And I think the next couple of years, and now you have Paige Beckers coming out next year. She's going to be probably the number one pick next year. So that momentum is going to keep rolling and rolling and rolling, and hopefully WNBA becomes self-sustaining sooner than later. Hopefully,
I'm going to be very curious to see attendance throughout the league this year. I know Liberty always sells well, but I want to see what the other teams out there are going to look like.
Yeah, I think it's going to be interesting to see kind of like obviously the Caitlin Clark effect is going to be true, and we see it already in ticket sales. Right, we see it. The Vegas Aces are playing in T-Mobile for her games because they can't. The ticket requests are crazy. Barclays is sold out for the Caitlin Clark games. Besides Clark games, I want to see where it goes up. I think attendance will go up. I think Barclays, when you go, you're gonna see a lot of that upper level opened up for a lot of games now.
Yeah, because they only opened up. They only open it up for the Aces.
Yeah, but I think Indiana, the Aces. I think Chicago with Spoon being their coach. Too. I think that's gonna help. I think the Sparks are a young, exciting team. I feel like the Liberty, the Aces, and who's the third team that draws really well? Off the top of my head, I can't remember.
Was it Dallas?
It might have been Dallas. Was it Dallas? Yeah, I think it was Dallas. I think those are three teams that draw extremely well. I'm curious to see Atlanta, DC without Elena Deladon, right? How that works out. There's a lot of other teams I'm really curious about. Connecticut, their attendance has been trying to drop a little bit because, they play in a damn casino, so I'm not really sure how long that's going to last. But attendance should go up. I don't think it's going to be a crazy jump. I think the Clark games are going to definitely curve the attendance figures a little bit, but you're definitely going to see kind of an improvement. The season starts on May 14th, that Tuesday. So our show this coming Thursday will be a preview of the season and our predictions on who will win, all that stuff. So on Thursday night, we'll give our predictions, preview the season. We'll talk about everybody. I know we talk a lot of Liberty, and it pisses Bruce off. We'll talk about everybody and see what happens. I'm curious. There's some preseason games that's not televised, but there's a couple. I might get League Pass this year because it might be worth my time to get League Pass. I'm thinking about it, so we'll see. We'll see what happens with that. Before we go, I want to talk about yesterday. I did not see the pay-per-view.
Oh, man!
I heard about it. How bad does the U.S. look as opposed to foreign countries when the WWE comes in? Because that crowd, I saw clips. That crowd was hyped.
I saw. I didn't see it live because it was free comic book day, so I was running all over Midtown Manhattan getting free comics. And I must say, I was telling my boss this earlier today. The WWE does a great job of making the small pay-per-views bigger pay-per-views now that they are more open to going outside the country. Because remember, last year was in Puerto Rico, and that was a pretty ecstatic crowd. And now this year they did France. They're still doing Belgium later on. They're still doing
Clash of the Castle was next month.
Clash of the Castle, Battle in Belgium, and they're doing something else. So King and Queen in the Ring in Saudi. They're making the small events look big, and you're right. The foreign crowd, which I didn't realize, the Europeans, they love their soccer and they love sports in general. So they make us look real. They make us look real bad. Like, we got to work on our chants. We got to come up with some new things to say. And I mean, it was a good pay-per-view, but the crowd made it that much better.
Yeah, the card didn't look great. Like, obviously AJ and Cody was going to be a good match. Obviously,
that was a good match.
I heard the Cargill match was good, but it kind of fell apart midway through, and she got lost a few times. But it wasn't like a crazy great card. But the crowd is what made the show so much more better. So now when they come back here and go to Topeka, Kansas, and the crowd is dead, it's like, well, come on, guys.
They will be in Hartford tomorrow. So there you go.
WWE still better than G League, AEW. Ask Ethan Page. Who cares about Ethan Page? Honestly, is Ethan Page the linchpin to ratings? Like, are we? I like Ethan Page, but
I will say this: I was surprised that they reunited Gorillas of Destiny last night, and they're part of the solo bloodline, because everybody was expecting the other one, to show up, but instead they gave us a swerve and reunited Gorillas of Destiny, which I would love to see them go head to head against the Usos, which I'm pretty sure we're gonna get that down the line. But I like what's going on in terms of the bloodline storyline. it's evolving. I love it.
Well, even with you watch AEW, right? And obviously Bruce is gonna shit on this. I'm waiting for his comment about this now. And I feel like I was telling a friend of mine when I went to college for a reunion, and a friend I was like, what are your thoughts?" He's like, "Well, first of all, CM Punk was a terrible decision. Like you should have known better. The Young Bucks are trash. Having dream matches just to have dream matches is great, but you can't do it all the time, right? There has to be a setup to set dream match.
They got the setup. Yep.
I think Ospreay, Bryan Danielson, there was a story. Like they never face each other. You have the best wrestler in the world against the best wrestler in the world. Like who's the best? I feel like that kind of wrote itself. I think they're trying to build a long-term story with the Elite and Okada, and then you have Kenny Omega, and then MJF. He's still hurt, but they say he's coming back sooner than they think he's going to come back. And then Samoa Joe is kind of got a face reaction, so you might trying to set up this Elite versus AEW thing, which can be cool if done correctly. But I think the big thing with AEW, and I think Tony Khan's kind of figured this out, he can't do it by himself. That's why he's hiring a COO, hiring the woman from WWE for creative, hiring Will Washington, who was like pretty much a continuity guy. He's like, that makes no sense. How did this happen and this happen? But that has happened. His job is literally just tell Tony, okay, that's a stupid idea. I think he's starting to see it. Dynamite's been better. There's one bad one a couple weeks ago. But of the last 2 months of Dynamites, there's been one bad one. They've all been good, and they've all had a lot of stories and a lot of layers, right? Statlander and Willow, and now Monet's kind of added in. And then Julia Hart, Mariah, everything kind of has these kind of layered out stories that they're, 4, 5, 6 months ago. So I think it's gonna be an uphill battle because they were so hot early, and it kind of died out, and they kind of get that heat back. But I think Tony Khan realized, okay, I gotta start all over and like bring in people who know some shit.
And their problem is very fixable. The wrestling down pat, they're the best by far. Bell to bell, they're the best wrestling company in terms of actual wrestling. They just got to worry about the storyline. It's small fixes, easy fixes, storylines, and where we're going to position people on the roster. That's it, easy fixes.
And I think the Ethan Page release, you have to trim the roster down. You can't have that many people in the contract
because you don't. You're not WWE. You're not WWE where you have NXT, Raw, SmackDown. You have your shows, and you don't really have a definitive roster division either. So it's one of those things where, like, unless you're going to do Ring of Honor and have them there, but I don't know. I don't know what the end game is for that.
Yeah, I'm curious about that because they're going to get a new deal from Warner Brothers. Like that's set in stone. They're going to get a new deal. I think it's going to be for more money than what they got. So,
but they're going to end up losing the show.
I think they end up losing probably Rampage, which is fine. Like you don't need Rampage. Rampage is, velocity at this point from back in the day. I think if you're going to get more money, and if they get a deal where I think they get like $95 million a year or something like that for Warner Brothers now. If they get 150 or 200, whichever they're assuming they get, they automatically become profitable. You get that now. Do what you have to do. I think right now you're trying to show Warner Brothers like we can do this, and Warner Brothers is happy. Like think about it.
Yep.
If they weren't on Wednesday nights, what will be on TBS Wednesday night at 8 p.m.? Like what show would be on besides Big Bang Theory?
I was gonna go like a Matrix rerun or Avengers 1 or something. But you're right, nothing.
They have a TV show that's between 1 and 3 in that demo that you want. You want the 18 to 45, 18 to 34, and they're either number 1, number 2, or number 3 every week. They were number 5 last week because there was 3 NBA playoff games and 2 NHL games on. So I know people shit on them, Bruce, but they're not going anywhere. Like I feel like people who think, oh, they're dead and it's done, they're not
WCW. They're not WCW.
And they're still drawing 500,000, 600,000, 700,000 people watching the show on Wednesdays, another 500,000 on Saturdays. We don't talk about Ramp. We don't talk about Fridays. Fridays, we don't discuss that. So I don't know, but that crowd last night, I want to watch it just to see the crowd. Not so much the matches because it was kind of predictable. who was going to win. But just for the match, the crowd, I got to check it out. So I'm giving the WWE credit today. I'm giving them credit. It's a good show, I heard, and I will go out of my way to watch it. That's all I'm going to say. Congratulations, WWE. Jason, always great show, man. Great show.
Likewise.
So we will be back on Thursday. On Thursday, we will talk about games 1 and 2 of the Knicks series against the Pacers, leading into game 3 on Friday. So we'll talk about that, everything that happened in basketball. I know there's some preseason WNBA, which we're not probably going to talk about, but we will preview the upcoming season on Thursday night here on the One Podcast Network, 8 p.m. Thursday, as always, sometimes. For Jason, I'm Kahlil Thomas. Thanks so much for watching. We'll see you Thursday. Peace.
Peace.
This has been The Box Out with Kahlil Thomas and Jason Cordner. Subscribe now for the best tri-state area basketball talk.